your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. Welcome back to my channel. And we're reviewing Young, Famous, and African season 2. And we're now at season 2. Episode 5 is called A Showdown. Starts off at Swanky's party still because Bonan, she left because she was upset and she doesn't want to put, her brand and career in line over something to her that doesn't matter for real. So she left. After she basically threw that temper tantrum, she took off. And Swanky is putting the blame all on Louis and not really on Bonan at all. And Louis feels away with Swanky because he's like, as a host, you should have tried to defuse that. And he didn't try to defuse it because, Swanky clearly has a bias. He's going to take after his friend. He is like that. If you watch season 1, he was like that. He will stick beside, if that's his friend, he's sticking beside them until the wheels fall off. That's what he did with Annie, even though Annie a lot of times was wrong. And then he might address a friend behind the scenes after the fact. And Zari's just sitting there like, Bonan was actually kind of wrong in this situation. Like, Zari's being kind of the voice of reason in this at the very beginning. She's like, Bonan did too much, and Louis doesn't really owe her another apology because he's apologized multiple times. And Swanky has some damage control to do. And that's where we get this party started again. So it's the next day. And Louis still feels a way about how things ended. He feels attacked. And one thing I will say, and I think this still probably should be his last season. Not because I don't like him. I think he really is someone where he has this outward hard exterior of being muscular and boom, 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 and boom, boom, boom. But he's really a softie, like a super softie. He actually admits, he's like, my feelings are hurt. You insulted my country. He's like, I'm an empath. That bothered me. And so right now I'm just going for a swim because it makes me feel better. He's still thirst trapping because that's just what he does. But that's like, maybe, I think it's also maybe because he's like a Gen Zer. But anyway, we're not going to do generational wars here. I'm not going to do that. And so then Zari, because she felt bad what happened, she actually popped up and is going to like try to talk to him and get to know him a little bit better after everything that happened, because she was kind of the only one that was a voice of reason that night. So Zari went ahead and tried to get the story from Louis again on what happened. And how earlier on I wasn't sure if his story changed or not? His story really hasn't changed. I think I'm being a little too biased and believe in Swanky. I think Swanky's on some mess this season, and because he was so likable last season, I'm falling for it. I'm starting to feel like that's what's happening. But anyway, so Zari's like, his story hasn't changed at all. I'm believing him. Like, so she believes him. She believes Louis, and she tries to see, like, is there any way you guys can meet up and have a sit down? He's like, no, I'm done. Which I don't blame him, because as a black man, when a woman's going off on you and basically kind of being hostile, that puts you in a really awkward, horrible position, because you're just in a lose-lose position. He's like, I can't put myself in that kind of position again. Especially since Bonan in South Africa, she's really powerful there. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna just leave it alone. So that's where pretty much that scene ends. So I understand why this is called The Showdown, because we're getting right to it. The showdown's happening between Swanky and Annie finally. And that's what the next scene is right now. We're gonna see what happens. So they don't disappoint. Annie shows up last, and she calls Swanky Jeremiah, which is his government name. And he even knows this right away. She's like, wow, okay, we're calling me by my government name. All right. And they're both hurt. And hopefully they can get to the bottom of it, because it just seems like it's a huge misunderstanding. But yeah, child, that was intense. I think from Annie's standpoint, she thinks issues were resolved. Swanky doesn't feel that way, because she never did take accountability for what happened. She never did even acknowledge that what he said happened. She just right away apologized. And in his confessional, he called her a narcissist. And it's been kind of people have been like in the group has been kind of I feel like a lot of them are like starting to see she's a little bit on the selfish side. But yeah, it's a little nuts. And Swanky and her cheers, but I think it's done. I don't think there's going to be a resolve, because she still did not take accountability, and that was all he wanted. And child, when I tell you I can relate to this kind of thing, that's how my last situation ended. It ended because of, I cannot stand when someone says sorry just for the sake of saying sorry. I need you to tell me what exactly you're sorry about. It needs to be about what it is I'm actually upset about. And if it's not that, keep that apology. And I'm pretty sure that's what Swanky wanted to say. Because when people just apologize to you right away without actually acknowledging what they're apologizing for, they're not really being genuine with their apology. They're just they don't want to deal with the issue. They don't want to have a conversation about the issue. They just want to brush under the rug. And that doesn't solve anything. And it also means accountability doesn't happen. And it means also a lot of times that the same mistake can happen over and over again. I'm not talking from experience or anything. Yeah, I kind of am. But yeah, but back to this. That did not end the way I wanted it to end. I was hoping it was going to end better, but it is only episode 5. We got 4 more episodes. So hopefully, maybe they can actually have a full conversation versus this. So in the next scene, it is Nadia and Kanti. And they're basically, I'm going to start calling them frickin' frack, because Kanti doesn't share anything about herself either, but she's a little bit more slick about it. And Nadia definitely doesn't. And she's just like basically being kind of like the bone collector she is, and relaying all of like what's going on with the group without sharing a single thing about what's going on with her. By the way, I think that's all I need to say about this scene, because that's all it is. Moving on. He joins Nadia and Kanti, and I feel like Louis is going to them to consult with them, because he just feels like an outsider. Which, I mean, he is a new guy, but he doesn't really have anyone that he's kind of, the differences between him and Fantana and even Boban, like the girls have other people that they already knew in the group. So it's not quite the same kind of dynamic. Whereas Louis, he doesn't really know anyone for real other than Kanti, and she hasn't really been around like that this season, I've noticed. And Nadia is, she gives nothing, so this is what happens. Also in this scene, Naked joins too. So I still think it's going to be pretty much the same thing where they basically, what I said at the beginning, Nadia's going to spill some tea. But then I think also Louis is going to share his POV. And hopefully Naked is the voice of reason, at least for this. That way we don't need to skip over this whole entire scene, because otherwise I'm totally skipping over this scene. We'll see. So the next, in the next scene, and I was right, I was able to skip through that scene basically. There's not much to see there. But in the next scene, basically Quentin, aka Naked, and Caitlyn, they're hosting like, I think they're called banana. Like, I don't remember what they said. Some type of bouquet. I don't remember what the word was. It was an event. It looks like they're at like a horse racing place and they're dressed like Kentucky Derby. And so it seems like it's a horse track, and I don't know what they call that in South Africa, but that's where they're at. And they're all dressed like it's the Kentucky Derby. It's actually quite amazing because it looks way better than our trashy version of it. Yeah, just saying. And correction, it's not quite Kentucky Derby, it's like equestrian. So they're watching equestrian people do stuff, which I don't know what that's called. Put it down in the comments if you know. So it appears also from the conversation that was had at the event before the tea party, and then even today, Naked's basically mentioning now he doesn't sure how he feels about Louise now because Banan and him are really, really good friends. He's known her because they're in the same industry and they've been knowing each other for a long time. And so we're seeing the clickiness of things happen. And so, which isn't fair because like they're automatically taking her side when Quietus kept she was doing too much. I also forgot to mention who's all there. So who's at this event is Louis, Zari, of course, Caitlyn and Naked, and Nadia, and then Fantana just showed up. And everyone else outfits are giving when these we gave, but hers. Her outfit's actually the outfit that I've been using in the preview when I ever show her picture. I didn't see all of it, but it's giving too much. I wouldn't wear that, like ever. Everyone else is giving class and she's not. I'm just gonna say it. Fantana is rookie mistaking the crap out of this right now. So we thought it was just Louis doing this, but Fantana does it a lot too. So Zari was giving her a hard time saying like, oh, you have a spokesperson, everyone's like has to speak for you. And then she's trying to explain things, but whenever she tries to explain things, she reveals stuff about herself that she wasn't originally planning on doing. And so she literally now told the whole entire group. So now everyone knows that she went on this date with Diamond. She's just like airing it out. And I don't know how Diamond feels about that. I don't think he cares, but it's just like, girl, if you're a city, I'm sorry, I feel like a true city girl you just shh. You don't know how many, you should never know how many bodies someone has. I'm not speaking like I used to be one or anything. I wasn't. But you get the gist though. I'm just saying. We have Swanky showing up last because he always does. And I have a feeling this is going to be an event where things start to get a little messy because Louis is feeling away about how things were not handled. And I think it's going to get addressed. Because again, this is called a showdown. There's going to be more than one showdown, right? I would think so. Then next, Annie and Innocent show up too. And that's going to be interesting too, because what Nadia did at their gathering. I'm hoping Nadia gets a little bit of her comeuppance for doing too much of this and not enough of this. And yeah. So I think we just saw Swanky and Annie hug, but it wasn't the same hug. And they both made it very clear it wasn't the same hug. I think they have an understanding after their showdown that they're just going to keep it cute in front of the group. No more shade, but their issues aren't really resolved, but they're just going to move accordingly with the group so it doesn't affect the group dynamic. I think that's the understanding. I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know if more is going to be said. We will find out. More will be revealed. Child. So the people who aren't there, the new people they're doing their job at least. So someone asked where Diamond was, and Fantana erroneously said he's touring, when really Zari corrected her. I was like, no, he's at Tanzania. And so she kind of had egg on face a little bit, but not a big deal. And then right on cue, Louis is just like, where's Andale? She's like, I don't know where Andale is. Zari's like, I don't know where he is. Am I supposed to know where he's at? Just fun banter a little bit. So I think everyone might be all there. I haven't seen Conti, and I haven't seen Bobbin, or her, her name, that girl. I don't know if I like her. I thought I did, but I don't know. Find out. Oh, the showdown that we thought was the showdown is happening, that we didn't think was a showdown. So we thought the pay-per-view, I'm going to call this like pay-per-view fight. So we thought that the main event was actually Annie and Swanky. Nah. It's Zari and Fontana. So Fontana was like, again, her foot and mouth, because that's just what she does the best. Things in her mouth. No pun intended. But she was like, well, because Zari was just like saying like, hey, like, I can't hang out with like Andale or nothing anymore, because Zari's like kind of annoyed that there's a double standard. Like, she feels like she can't date Andale, but Diamond can date whoever he wants, even though it's not quite the same, but she still sees it as like, why is that any different? And so Fontana's like, well, that's because whenever Diamond comes around, you guys act like you guys are in love with each other. She just like said it. And it's just like, for you entertaining this man, you are heavily invested in how they move. Interesting. Are you really a city girl, or are you pretending you're a city girl? Fantana just also then told the whole entire group that Zari wants to have another baby with Diamond. And I think Diamond said that to Fantana in confidence. This girl is so messy. I really, really hope Diamond no longer gives her the cookie, but he probably will, because I think he might be doing this to be spiteful because of what happened with Andale and Zari. I don't know what's happening, but child, this is messy. And I don't really like Fantana like that. She's new, but like, she has to build a body, because you could tell she has a BBL, and it's not a good one. It's just, it's too much. She's team too much. I already told you, I think I said episode 1 when I first met her, team too much. I don't like team too much energy. It's just, it's exhausting. Zari went from saying that and explaining what was going on with her body, wanting to like do a surrogacy, because now, because Fantana put all that out there, Zari's response is spicy as it is, because I think Fantana don't know who she's dealing with. She that one when it comes to spicy. Zari is a spitfire. She can just give it to you. And she was like, are you jealous? Is that what it is? And so it's going to go left. Another feud. At least there was some resolution here. But I need more than the brief resolutions that they happen. I need a true resolution. Because, child, this is getting exhausting. That little brief showdown, they kind of dispersed in separate groups. And right now, Swanky is talking to Nadia, and Nadia's getting all up in the business, because that's what she does, because she's a damn bone collector. She doesn't have any other job on this show other than be a bone collector, because Lord knows we don't need to know anything about her life. Sorry, I'm going to say it every single time, because I do not like her, and I don't like that energy. It's like, But anyway, so Swanky did explain, like, hey, we met up, no clarity. We're not going to be besties, but we can be cordial. That's pretty much just what the conversation's going. So Louis and Fantana, they're going to basically clear the air next. And so they go aside and they're clearing the air. And I think I have Louis all wrong. I think his packaging makes me think one way, but I think he really is genuinely a nice guy. And I think he really did mean he wants her to win and wants her to be about her music, which is why she's there and not for the drama. And yeah, so I think they're not going to go anywhere romantically. That's pretty clear. But I do see them possibly having a friendship and him kind of like being someone she can confide in, like truthfully, and give her the real. Because honestly, he kind of wasn't lying. No lies were told because she's getting in a lot of mess. And after that first episode with her being in the studio, we haven't talked about her music since. So Fantana basically gave him an ultimatum, though. She's like, if you want to go on a date with me, you have to talk to Bontan. If I was Louis, okay, I don't need to go on a date with you. That's just me. Because, girl, no. But I think for the sake of drama and sake of this show, he is going to talk to her. News is, I think we read him wrong. By we, I mean me, read him wrong. He clocked it right away. He was like, wow, that's manipulative, but he didn't say that to her. So hopefully that took his attraction level down. Because, yeah, that is manipulative. If you don't feel like you want to talk to her at the moment, then don't do that. Talk to her on your own time when you want to do that. And if you never want to talk to her, okay, then don't. But I know for the sake of reality TV, it's probably going to happen. I think Bontan's probably going to show up later on, and they're probably going to have a conversation. I guess also too, let me clarify. When I mean, will she show up? She hasn't showed up to the group events ever since their altercation. That's what I mean, not that event that they're on, because that was basically almost the scene was wrapping up. So now though, in the next scene, we have Fantana. She's at her house, or the place she's staying at. I don't know which one it is. And she's about to contact Diamond and kind of like give him the lowdown of what happened at the event, because Hearns already got into it and she's upset about it. And yeah, Diamond, but he doesn't answer. And so really it was just one of those solo scenes where she just kind of just had to stay her POV. So that was pretty much concludes that scene. Not really much to it. Next scene is another event that Swanky put together, because Swanky puts events together, which is why I believe Swanky's version of the story and not Annie's. Because a lot of the events that are on this show, Swanky's put together. But anyway, they're at a gin school and they're going to learn how to make gin, which I honestly would love to do that. I don't really like gin per se. I would love to learn how to make like vodka or something like that. Either way, it just seems really cool. And that's where they're at right now. Everyone is there but Bontan. Bontan's the only one who's not there. And Diamond. Diamond, and I don't think I've mentioned this before, and this was very similar in season 1. Diamond tours a lot. He's a very active artist still. So a lot of times he's touring, and then also to Tanzania is where he's from. So he like goes back and forth. And so more than probably everyone else does. And so he isn't in a lot. He isn't in this episode at all, to be honest. The last episode he was in was the Diamond, the episode 4, and that was only briefly. But that was kind of common even last season, though. He wasn't in a lot of the drama. He kind of stays away from the drama, to be honest. So this is kind of on brand. So we find out also in this scene that Kanti actually has a lot of experience with making gin, because she actually had a gin business back in the day that never quite worked out. Anyway, so sorry about that. My cat started meowing. I was like, what's going on? But anyway, so also too, Kanti and Nadia, they're talking to Zari about what she can do to help spice things up. Because I think Zari's going to high-key try to pursue Andale. And they're talking about video. On my video phone, trying to be sexy on the video. And Nadia gave a little bit of something about when she was dating an American guy, which it was Vink Mensa last season. I think that's what she meant. And she's kind of talking about like what you need to do to make it work. But again, she's still not really sharing herself. It's just still some super surface stuff. But I guess I need to just come to terms that she's never going to really share herself. But anyway, they're talking about that right now. I'm not sure how they got there. It seems kind of like a misplaced talk, but whatever. So basically, Bonan, she decides she's exiting this group. That's the announcement that Swanky has. Oh, and by the way, Annie and Two-Face isn't there, and neither is Naked, and neither is Andale. None of the guys are there. It's Swanky and, other than Swanky and Louise, it's all the women, and minus Annie and Bontan, and that's why. But that's the announcement. Interesting. So I'm not sure if this is going to be a permanent thing with her no longer being on the show, but this aftermath of it is a bit much and it's a bit extra. And it seems like she did this so that it looks like Louis was a bad guy. That's how it's coming off. Kanti is spinning it around where it is that way, because Kanti never saw for her. She don't like her and never has. And it was very obvious. And Swanky is the only one that's kind of standing by her side trying to defend her. And Kanti has this internal conflict. It's not even internal. It's like a underlying conflict that she's not addressing, that she is looking at Swanky kind of funny. She's also looking at Annie kind of funny. Because she just thinks things are off with both of them. It's not really just one or the other. She's like, what is this? But yeah, this is interesting. This was a twist that I was not expecting. And I'm wondering what the aftermath is going to be now, because it makes Louis look really bad. And even though he put his foot in his mouth a couple of times in like the show so far, he did not deserve that at all. He hasn't been messy intentionally at all. He's not even that messy. He just puts his foot in his mouth, which is a difference. Whereas Fantana is kind of messy. And Bontan, she's messy, but she's kind of toxic, it seems like. And this was a power move. What she did there was a power move. It wasn't, I don't think it's basic. This group is interesting because I'm seeing how ego can truly destroy things. And I don't really know how to read this, but anyway, they're basically now in this scene, they're just talking about having a fallout on really how they're going to proceed. They're kind of giving their feedback on why she did this. It's a whole thing. So that ended horribly. How it ended, Swanky just did the most and started yelling at Louise, even though he really didn't do anything wrong. He apologized for his actions. And I think honestly, Louise is telling the truth on what happened. And I think Bontan was just trying to be extra and just trying to do the most, and she was just being a jerk. And Nadia and Swanky got into it because Nadia has Luis's back, which I'm like, thank God someone has his back. Someone has his back, because it just looks like, because he is not a masculine dude all the way, he's being attacked. I do see that. I feel like he really is being attacked and is cruel. And in the confessionals, you could tell he's hurt. Luis is like, I just want to leave right now. I don't even want to be part of this group either. So like, they're going to lose another new person. They keep acting this way. They need to really calm it down, bring it down a notch. And I don't know what Swanky's problem is, but he is just as much of the issue as Annie. And I think it's starting to present itself that it is both of them. And they really need to get it together. Annie, at least, is trying to put the past behind, is trying to move forward. That's the only thing that I'm giving her credit for, because she still didn't take accountability for anything. But Swanky is being a Devo, and it's not cute. Before, his Devo behavior was cute, but he's just kind of exploding, and there was no reason for it. And then he was yelling. And also too, I just don't like, and maybe I'm going on a little bit of a soapbox here, I do not like that he was yelling at Nadia, and he's yelling around a whole bunch of women. That's not right. As a man, you don't yell at women. And Luis didn't even do that. He actually accused Luis of doing what he actually is doing. And that's not cool. As a man, I don't care what your orientation is. If you are if you identify as a man, you do not yell at women, especially if they're not yelling at you. Nadia was just trying to help Luis have a voice, because it would have looked a different way if Luis was to yell at him, and he didn't do that. Luis, in this scene, and honestly, the past episode and a half, has handled himself the best he could, because he now knows he has to really watch it with this group. But I feel bad for him. I do want him to have a second chance. Bonten, she can go. She didn't really give anything. She kind of was just messy. She came and went. And Fontana, she's trying, but she's trying too hard. She's team tried too hard. But it bothers me. So anyway, that concludes this dual recap. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of this content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.